Well, hi, St. Andrews. My name is Julie Wood. I'm the minister of Serve. And for today's morning moment, I actually want to invite you into a little bit of my spiritual journey of this year. For the past many years, as one year comes to a close and I begin preparing for the next calendar year, I begin praying and listening and asking God if there's a specific word or phrase that He wants me to kind of have as mine to hold on to. Perhaps it's something to learn and study, or something about a characteristic of Him, or something that He wants to grow in me. And this year, the word that He gave me is joy. Well, my mom, who happens to have the spiritual gift of giving, after hearing that, sent me this beautiful mug that says, "Today I will choose joy." Well, not knowing all the complexity and uniqueness of what 2020 would hold, I cannot tell you how grateful I am to God that that was the word that He invited me into. And then the reminder on my little coffee mug in the morning so often that though I can't manufacture joy, that I can choose joy regardless of my circumstances. Well, when I've spent time thinking about joy this year, Paul comes to mind in Philippians 4:4, where he says, "Rejoice in the Lord, and again I say rejoice." Now, he wrote that even from a prison cell in circumstances that were less than ideal. But sometimes we experience the joy of the Lord in such profound and felt ways that we can rise up and proclaim to rejoice in the Lord, and His joy is pouring out of us. But if I'm honest, I probably have more experiences that are like David's lament and authentic prayer in Psalm 51, where he says, "Let me hear joy and gladness. Let the bones you have crushed rejoice." And then a few verses later, he says, "Restore to me the joy of your salvation, and grant me a willing spirit to sustain me." Well, friends, I don't know where you are on your joy journey, and I certainly am continuing to pray and need more of the Spirit's cultivation of that fruit of the Spirit within me. But one thing that I've taken comfort in is something I actually mentioned in my last morning moment, found out of John 15, but I think it bears repeating. As Jesus is with His disciples and He is inviting them to remain in His love, He says this in verse 11, "I've told you this, I've told you to remain in my love, so that my joy may be in you and your joy may be complete." I'm just tickled at the thought that Jesus longs for our joy, for your joy and my joy, to be complete in Him. Not only does He want us to remain in His love and have that place of centeredness and connectedness, but He gives that to us in part because He desires for joy to be a part of us and for our joy to be found in Him. And I think that is so beautiful. One other practice that has been really significant over the course of my faith journey is to meditate or dwell on the different characteristics or attributes of God. Whether there's been in seasons where I've needed just to be reminded that He's the good shepherd and that He's faithful and that He is the ever-present help in trouble, or whether I need to know that He's strong and mighty in the midst of my weakness. Or sometimes I'm just leveled at His holiness and His majesty. Well, as I've meditated on those things, it's strengthened my faith, knowing that His word says that He's the same yesterday and today and forever. And so to know that our unchanging God's character is something that I can build my foundation of my faith on is something that has been so important to me. So I was so excited this week when I ran across this quote by John Davis, a theologian from Gordon Conwell Seminary, and he says, "Joy is a fundamental characteristic of the inner being of the Trinity. The Father rejoices in the Son, and the Son rejoices in the Father, in the communion of the Holy Spirit, now and forever." At the very essence of this God who we worship, who we follow, who is in us, is joy. I love that. It was such a revelation for me to just sit and reflect on that being at the very center of who He is. So as you go into this day, I invite you to just join me on your own journey of joy and contemplating joy being at the very center of who our God is, and that what His Holy Spirit might want to birth in you as that fruit within you. So whether you want to borrow my word for the rest of 2020 or just spend a few minutes on it today, I invite you to join me. I love this final quote here from Davis, who goes on to say, "We, as the redeemed people of God, are on a journey into the joy-filled heart of the triune God." Let's enjoy this journey together. God bless you.